have to say I am so excited to do this. This is really like this is my first call video Skype. So in a sense, you've inspired me. I've seen a lot of what you've done with your blog, so this is exciting.
This is great, Gato, and I'm really happy that not only are we together doing this interview, but that we're able to use technology to do that. And what that means is just think how much more cool, interesting things you'll be able to do, and how many more people, particularly young Latinas, who are graduating from high school and college at the beginning of their career, how many of these women you're going to be able to reach using this technology, which is available for you to all of us for relatively nothing or a very, very low cost. So that's really exciting. Thank you for having me.
I wanted to ask you, just how did you begin your career in journalism?
Well, as you noted, I have a PhD in Spanish and Portuguese literature and African American studies from Yale University. Now, I say that not just to prove that I'm a real nerd, but because when you get a PhD in the humanities, there's not a professional track. Like, say, economics has a professional track. You can go to Wall Street if you choose not to go into academia. Well, you can't really do that with literature. Most people who get a PhD in literature, most of them are going to teach in some capacity, and that was my intention. My intention was to teach university, and Yale was going to be an incredible calling card because of the rigor of that institution and its reputation that has been earned over a couple of centuries. And I approach literature with so much passion and so much curiosity, but by the time I got to my comps, comprehensives, when you're taking oral and written exams, I smoked on those, which is really important to say because I passed with honors and distinction, so you'd think I would be on the top of the world, and I wasn't. And a very dear friend of mine from college, who at the time was at ABC News, he is now at WNYC, NPR's New York outlet. And he said, you're in a funk. What's going on? And I said to him, I don't think I want to finish. I don't think I want to do this. But I was so far in at that point. And so so he said, ever since I've known you, you've always been go, go, go. You've always had a conference to go to, a paper you're presenting, an article you're writing. He's like, why don't you take the summer off and do something else? And maybe journalism, if you want to do something in journalism, I can try to, help get you an internship. So I did that. And that's how I came to CNN in Espanol in 1998 to be an intern. And that was the turning point in my career because I loved the news. I loved the immediacy of what we were doing. And at CNN in Espanol in the Washington Bureau, we were a very small subset doing it all. So I had the opportunity as an intern to do so much and not just answer phones and monitor the fax machine. I got out to do interviews. I got to monitor news conferences. I got an opportunity to set up interviews for the correspondent. I did everything, and I loved it. I always say it was love at first soundbite, with all puns intended. And then I just continued to use the flexibility of my academic schedule to work on my degree, finish my degree, teach, research, write, but also intern. And so I I wrote my dissertation in Mexico City, and I had the opportunity to meet the fantastic Mexico City New York Times team at the time, who won Pulitzer Prizes, actually, for their coverage of the 2000 Mexican election. Julie Preston and Sam Dillon. They're now both in New York City working for the Times. But fantastic reporters and, more importantly, really good people. And they gave me an opportunity to string for them, to freelance for them in Mexico. And I loved it. And I wanted to stay in Mexico City and work for the Times, but my parents put their foot down and said, you've got to go back to Yale. You've got to turn in your dissertation. You can't be ABD, which happens to a lot of doctoral students for a host of very good reasons. You end up ABD means all but dissertation. So you reach candidacy, but you actually don't have your doctorate because you have not turned it in. So all but dissertation, ABD. Mm-hmm. And my parents said, and they've never pushed us. They've always been our number one fans, but they've never pushed us the way other people's parents have pushed them. They were just always very nurturing and supportive of us. And whatever we wanted to do, they were 100% behind us. Go for it, and we'll help in any way we can. And big on education, big on travel. We didn't get a car when we turned 16 years old or go shopping every week, but if we wanted to go to NASA camp or study abroad in the summer, that's what they saved. They figured it out at the kitchen table. Mm-hmm. And but my parents put down their foot and they said, you've got to finish, because in life, you might lose it all. You could lose your job, you could lose your house, mm-hmm. but nobody will take away your education. That's yours forever. And so I went back to Yale. I had to do one more year. I finished my dissertation a year later than I thought I had finished it. But that's when I started to intern for WTNH, the local ABC affiliate in New Haven. And I turned in my dissertation on September 11, 2001. Wow. At 7:45 a.m.
Wow.
Right before September 11. I had pulled an all-nighter, Carolina, and I was in my advisor secretary's office. We were collating a ream of paper. Mm-hmm. And a professor ran in and said, a plane's crashed into the World Trade Center. And we just looked at each other confused and thought, this is terrible. But we thought it was a Cessna, like millions of other people who heard the news. And I interned on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and weekends at WTNH. And so I turned in my dissertation and I went to the station because September 11, 2001 was a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And I walked into the station and all hell had broken loose. And people were running around and people were scared, crying, dialing frantically. Connecticut was very impacted because of its proximity to Manhattan. There's a lot of commuters. So there was just a lot of panic and concern. And I was gathered around a television set with some coworkers. And like millions of other Americans, I saw the second jetliner crash into the World Trade Center. And if panic had broken out when I walked into the station, I mean, at that point, all heck broke loose. And I jumped into a news van with my mentor, Kent Pierce, and we ended up working our hearts out like so many other journalists did, trying, for hours, nonstop, 36 hours, whatever, with no time to eat, much less go to the bathroom. You're just working nonstop because you're trying to make sense of what's happening. And that's the obligation we had, is as journalists, people were looking to us. We're looking to news outlets to understand what had happened, to reassure them that everything, that the world wasn't ending. And that's when I decided that I was going to be a television journalist as opposed to a radio journalist or a print journalist, which probably made a little more sense given my analytical background and my academic training. But I was so in awe, Carolina, of the power of television to calm, to put out important information people needed to have, to reassure. And it's something that a lot of journalists actually, where everybody else runs away, we run towards. And it's kind of in your DNA. I've always said, if you don't, if you want to work, if you want to spend holidays with your family and, have weekends off, then this is not the career for you. And if you're worried your shoes are going to get dirty, then this is not the career for you. It's truly a calling, and it's got great.
Viviana, thank you so very much for your time. I have valued this conversation, virtual interview for the first time here on Generacion Latina.
I feel like I've I feel like I've come down, I've wedged my way into history here as your first, of many, I hope, Skype interviews.
That's right. You know what? The world is ours. It's really just a click away. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Viviana. And we'll see you around. Don't forget to check her out at the Wise Latina Club on Facebook, on Twitter, and of course her website. So thank you.
The website address, by the way, is thewiselatinaclub.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Nos vemos. Gracias.
Bye. Thank you.